Someone asked me. Okay. Oh my god. How much time do I have? 30 minutes. Alright. How do I feel about the current meta? I'm gonna bring you guys over here. This is. Hold on, this is gonna. I'm gonna pop you guys out so it looks like I'm looking at you guys. Okay. So right now, I think the state of the game is pretty bad. And I want to use a different example than people are giving right now. So the reason why I don't like the state of the game at the moment is because I think that I talked a little bit before about how I think that there's too much damage in the game with the combination of the new keystones and runes and you missing like armor and MR. You take more damage and you deal more damage. So there's too much damage in the game. So the way that Riot decided to beat higher damage to have bigger sustain options, stuff like bone plating, stuff like resolve tree, stuff like D shield, and that's how you beat big sustain. Big damage with big sustain. And what happens is it creates this really bad situation where the game is like very. I feel like it dumbs down the game quite a bit. And what I mean, and let me use another example. So when I used to play World of Warcraft competitively, or like high tier on the ladder, I was a top 10 in my battle group Warlock on Rune, and so I would play 5 to 8 hours a day every day. And what happened and what made early World of Warcraft PvP really good is that it used to be that you would have to use your cooldowns in a smart way to get a result that you wanted. So it's like the biggest thing in that game is to force a trinket. That trinket is your 2-minute CC clear, and so you would use the ability to force the trinket, and then 2 minutes later secure the kill with your own CC chain. That's essentially how you played the game. And so
I've never played World of Warcraft.
In my opinion, a very elegant way to play the game. Like you knew what you were doing, the enemy team knew what you were doing, and you found ways to stop and deny it. I thought, and the game was really fun because it wasn't super fast paced. It was a situation where both teams were aiming for something, and you could kind of stop them, stall them, interrupt them, and there was ample time for you to interject with their kind of play. And vice versa. But however, as the expansions increased, and what happened was World of Warcraft has had power creep came in, where more and more you'll see higher and higher damage numbers. So moving from seasons 2 to 4 into seasons like 5, 6, 7, or I played 5 and 6, and this was really apparent in 5 and 6 was that, and Legion especially, is that the damage was just too high. So what happened would be you would throw a CC on someone, and if they don't trinket the 2-second, 3-second CC, your teammate was dead or you were dead. And that's kind of how I see League of Legends right now. I think right now there isn't a really finesse in the game. So it's literally, this is how I see the game. You bring CC, you CC one person, and everyone dogpiles and kills them. And you don't even need everyone. You need 2 people or 1 person because damage is so high. So 2 people dogpile 1 CC target, and they explode and they're dead instantly. And so unless it's like a small skirmish, like in a 1v1 scenario, it's still relatively okay. But when you start entering 2 people or more in skirmishes, it's literally just feels that there's less counterplay available in the game because the damage accelerates so quickly. I think that that's really bad because I miss the moments where you could think more about the play as you're doing it. At the moment, it's just like, this is the immediate thing you should do. CC them, everyone throw all your shit on this guy, and he'll explode. And personally, I don't feel like that's a fun way to play the game. I think that.
So here's where I kind of agree and also disagree with the stuff being said in these few minutes, because like saying there's too much damage in the game is just a weird thing to say, because after all, you need damage in a game like League, or it can't function. You need damage to last hit minions, you need damage to clear your jungle, you need damage to secure Baron, get towers down, eventually to the Nexus to kill champions. So the question is, can there be too much damage in the game? It can be. Yes. But the bigger issue, the biggest thing about too much damage, and that is exactly the issue with League currently, since a long time, it's not that there's too much damage necessarily in the game, but that damage isn't as fairly distributed throughout the entire game as it used to be. It used to be better than this. This is why I feel like it's so flawed when people say League is in the most balanced state ever. Is such a bullshit, because it's completely the opposite. Basically, when he talks about being CC'd and burst it down, to my, Zoe comes right ahead into my mind, because that's exactly her playstyle. And yes, that is toxic as fuck. Why would a champion have such a toxic playstyle? She's gonna CC you and then burst you down. It's just not fun to play against that. And it's probably not fun to play it either, because yeah, it might be hard to hit her skill shots, but like technically you just have to land a CC and the enemy is already dead, It's just not fun. But again, back to the damage stuff. It's mainly supports and tanks that have been getting more and more damage over the time. A lot of the tanks have now max HP damages, which just is so misplaced. I mean, you could argue, oh, there's stuff like Blade of the Rune King. Why would AD carries have that, or any DPS character, but any AD DPS character, but not tanks? Because that's not the role of a tank. Same with supports. Their main role is not damage. If that was the case, it's okay. But if that was the case, they wouldn't be called a tank or a support. They would be called an assassin. Like if their main purpose is damage, then that's what they should be doing the most. They shouldn't be having tons of shielding abilities, tons of survivability, tons of CC, sustain, whatnot, If damage is what they do, then that's what they should be having. That is the perfect example. Shaco could even be used as that example, or at least the old Shaco, because old Shaco had less CC, weaker slow, and less, because of the double bugs on his clone, he would have technically less CC, right? Now he can fear people twice, technically. If damage, who has as a center point damage? Assassins, AP and AD carries. That's what they do. They're meant to be doing damage. They need DPS items. They need even items like Blade of the Rune King for the HP stackers. They need armor pen to handle the armor stackers, because that's the counterplay to it. And now you're gonna say, if the enemy stacks a lot of armor, you build armor pan on AD carry, etc. And now you're gonna say, yeah, but what is the tank gonna do? What is the tank gonna do if you go full armor pan? Like, yeah. Like, it can sound really unfair, right? When you say, okay, so this guy is gonna get a lot of armor because he's a tank, and the enemies are all AD or whatever, or they have a fat AD carry. So he's building armor, and now the AD carry is getting Lazarus buff. First of all, that sounds really simple, right? He gets armor, he gets armor pen. Sounds really simple, right? But in the gameplay, when you have two skilled people playing against each other, that race, who's gonna get the item first? Who's gonna get their core item first? Who's gonna get that situationally necessary item first? Okay, they have a Malphite on the team. They're staking a lot of armor. You gotta pay attention to that and get the Lazarus perk pretty early, because you gotta understand, when you do, there's a few team fights in the in League that can decide a game. Basically, if you win the team fight, you know, Baron team fight, whatever, an important Dragon team fight, or maybe like when you're pushing into the lane and I don't know, the tower fight, there's a few fights that decide the game. Because all the gold you get from it, all the XP, it can boost you so hard that you're gonna be way stronger than the enemy next fight. Not only that, not only do you get all the gold and XP from those team fights and maybe the objective that you're fighting for, but you can keep on farming during that time while the enemy is dead in the base, etc. So you get a lot from that, right? But like, that's the thing. Before you join an important team fight, you gotta get your core items. And who gets that core item first? Is the Malphite gonna finish his Randians first? Or is the Vayne gonna, or any AD carry gonna get the last Whisper first? And then when you finish the item quicker, you're gonna force the fight and eventually outscale them when you're doing good. And like, that's the thing about League, dude. It can be so simple, but it gets really complex when you put a player into that environment. You know, that item, that race, who's gonna get the item first, and whoever gets it first is gonna be stronger. And now back to the thing. So this guy's getting all the armor, this guy's getting all the armor pen. Eventually he's gonna be stronger. Yeah, he's gonna have a lot of armor pen. I mean, you're not limited. You can build as much armor as you want. Back then you could go scaling armor. You have things like you have now, you used to have that as masteries. Now you have them as new runes that increase your armor again by 5%, etc. So you have all that setup. So you can easily get a few hundred armor, right? And Last Whisper is gonna give you what, 35 armor pen? It is something, but you're gonna still have the majority of your armor left. First of all. The second thing is, what I hate people always complaining about, and that's probably the same thing about Riot, where they say, I even remember reading that, where they say tanks are too weak. Oh, tanks just get slaughtered late game. Yes! Like, what are you expecting? Do you want the tank to be way stronger late game than an AD carry, than a damage dealer? Like, the game has to eventually end, okay? And how does the game end in any better way than the damage dealer being strong enough to finally try and carry, AD carry, AP carry? You're gonna eventually have to build up some damage to finish the game. Like, that's the whole purpose of AD carries, dude. You can't have the other way, or the armor stacking Malphite is gonna be way stronger. Let's delete Last Whisper from the game. No armor pen. Okay. So what is an AD carry supposed to do? No, it's not about there's too much damage in the game. It's just that the damage is misplaced. Back then, a Caitlyn, late game Caitlyn would two-shot me. Would I complain about that? No, I had my damage. You know, even if I built Shaker pretty tanky back then, I would get some damage, have proper damage, be able to, you know, to have enough damage to maybe kill her if I do the combo right. You know, backstab, crit, E, ignite, whatever. Or get her low enough to force her out of a fight, because a high damage Caitlyn being, you know, or any AD carry being out of a team fight while you fight is more than enough. You don't even have to kill them. You just gotta zone them out. And that's the thing. Back then, AD carries were way squishier. You didn't have Ardent Sensor. You didn't have everybody building Ninja Tabi. You didn't have all this resolve bullshit. You didn't have all this bone plating and whatnot. More shielding in the game, more sustain and whatnot. Oh, items like Death Dance, Phantom Dancer, GA now giving you damage and armor, like Stopwatch. You didn't have that stuff. And that was the thing. Every role had their downsides. an assassin, AD carry, AP carry dealing a lot of damage, maybe have some CC, maybe have a little survivability, but never overboard. CC survivability, CC tankiness, that was usually, or utility, those were usually the roles of supports and tanks. And the rest were damage dealers. As I said, AP carry, AD carry, DPS, and Bruiser was always this kind of mix of both. And that's what I prefer to build Shaker the most, a Bruiser, Because that's going to be the strongest if you mix two roles into one. Being tanky enough, having a little extra tankiness, extra sustain. Give up a little on the damage, but still have enough damage to not be completely useless. I gotta find a healthy mix in that, right? But one thing I gotta agree about too much damage is there's too much true damage in the game. We have Conqueror now, we've been having Red Buff true damage for a long time, Skirmisher true damage since Season 5. There's now more champions that deal true damage. I think since the AD carry change, Caitlyn deals true damage, Twitch. Cho'Gath Ultimate, I think he always deals true damage, but he deals even more true damage now. Conquerors. Is there something that I'm missing? There's no counterplay to true damage. Oh, shielding. Yeah, but it's not something that everyone has. Or everyone can have. Armor, on the other hand, everyone can have that. Everyone can build armor situationally if they need it. So yeah, you could have enemy team being all full AD, dealing full physical damage, only physical damage. And they're gonna deal tons of damage. Are you gonna say there's too much damage in that game? No, for that reason they probably have less CC, they have less survivability, less tankiness, less utility if they all go AD assassin, let's say. And you on the other hand are just gonna build armor and outscale them early to mid game, etc. There's counterplay, but he says there's no counterplay. But there's counterplay to too much damage. Best counterplay, as I said previously, in a squishy AD carry going full damage. Hey, she's squishy, just burst her down. She's, But then again, I'm talking with the mindset of League Season 5. Back then it was so much healthier. But again, that's the issue with League, right? It's not that anymore. But it's not just, too much damage. It's not that. Everything is just so misplaced. Tanks have the most damage now. Supports as well have so much more damage. But the thing is, they don't give up on their shielding utility. They don't give up on their utility, be it shielding, healing, and whatnot. They don't give up on their CC, their tankiness. Every support item gives you HP, CDR, AP thrown out after you, dude. And they're high scaling, like supports have higher scaling than an assassin like Shaker. A tank Ornn has better AD scaling than a Shaker, while he already has max HP stuff on his abilities. He doesn't even need items to deal damage. That's why you can go full tank with champions like Ornn. And in Cho'Gath's case, it's even worse in that sense because he deals more damage the tankier he builds. That's the issue with League. It's not about there's too much damage in the game. It's about everything being so misplaced. Another thing is the resolve tree is so stupid. A rune like bone plating should not be a secondary rune. The impact you get from that rune, it should be on the level of a keystone. It can't be that you can go Thunderlord or whatever, or Eerie, and still be able to pick up on bone plating. It's so broken. Like that keystone would have to, that rune alone should be a keystone. So that, hey, if you want to take this rune, you gotta give up on this other keystone rune. Are you willing to do that? Like, there's no downside to it. A bone plating is strong as fuck early game, probably strongest early game, and it's strong throughout the entire game. and you barely have to give up any of your damage. Graves is the best example. Not only does he have tankiness in his E, he gets sustained from the runes now, he gets damage reduction from Warrior, Skirmisher, Ninja Tabi, Black Cleaver some HP, Phantom Dancer, all this damage reduction stuff. Like, and at the same time his scalings are so high, he's just gonna need Warriors, he's just gonna need an 80 heavy item, and that's enough for him to deal tons of damage while being practically immortal. And let's be funny, put a bone plating on that Graves as well. So ridiculous. You know, back then you had Strength of Ages, but you had nothing from that rune, and it was a keystone rune too. You had nothing from that rune early game, and you had to get the stacks to make it be really useful. Same with runes. You had yellows, you had blues. You would build mostly armor and MR on them, which most people did. But at the same time, you could go extra attack speed. You could go extra AP, AD. You could do that. But hey, you're gonna lose on that armor. Are you willing to do that? Or even better, you could go scaling armor or scaling MR, which I used to do a lot on Bruiser Shaker. But hey, you're gonna be way weaker early game than the usual flat MR and armor runes. Are you willing to do that? There were always downsides to things. You know, you build full HP, whatever. You know, Malphite, Rammus are exceptions. They have been always that kind of champion. But you know, it were only these two champions that would deal more damage based on their armor, right? That's what made them, and that's fine. They're built around that, and that's fine. But when you have everybody being a Malphite, it's just not fun, dude. When you have everybody being a tank, that's just not fun. While at the same, it's so. Another thing is the items. An item like Duskblade is still dealing way too much damage. See, again, it's the damage being misplaced, not too much damage in the game. You can't be saying an assassin is dealing too much damage. It's what they do, especially if they're fat. You should be expecting to get one shot. That's what assassins are made for. Being one shot by a Cho'Gath tank. If anything, that's the issue. But yeah, items like Duskblade. Which other item could I mention? Duskblade is a perfect example. Broken item. Not only does it give too much damage, it also gives you CC. It's meant to be an assassin item, but it gives you CC. An assassin doesn't need CC. All he needs, you can give them the option to go extra tankiness, to go extra CC, but it's just too much, dude. This Duskblade item is way too much. Not only does it give you decent amount of, not only is it a pretty cheap item for what it gives you, but it gives you decent amount of AD. It gives you lethality. Hey, let's be funny. It also gives you physical, bonus physical damage. Oh, and it slows people by 99%, and it gives you CDR. Oh, and it gives you vision denial. Like, that's exactly where I agree with Scarra, right? The game is dumbed down. It feels so linear, it feels so dull, and it feels so dumbed down. It's actually ridiculous. Like, you have only these specific champions that scale the best with the current runes and the items, and there's nothing that can stop them. There's just nothing that could stop them. A fucking Graves, every time this champion, I'm gonna start banning this champion. Every game this fucking disgusting champion is gonna dominate in my games. I'm tired of this champion, dude. Broken fucking champion. But then again, Warwick is the same shit. Am I gonna stop banning Warwick? Like, all these champions feel so disgusting to play play against, and they probably feel as bad to play with. I could say that. I don't think people even enjoy playing these broken champions. Like, they probably have their fun champions that they would rather want to play, but they can't because if they want to win, they gotta abuse this shit. And people say the game is more balanced than ever. It's such a BS, dude. It's such a bullshit. The game has never been this unbalanced and this unfun. There's counterplay to physical damage. There's counterplay to magical damage. It's armor, it's MR. There's no counterplay to true damage in that sense. There's no counterplay to something like bone plating. There's no counterplay to an item build of Graves and Graves itself with that rune and item setup. There's no counterplay to a Cho'Gath one-shot, being 5k HP that you can't even fight him. And that's again the thing, right? A lot of people say the game feels so much more snowbally, which is not even the case. The game is actually less snowbally in that sense. You have EXP limitations, you have gold limitations. But why do people say the game feels more snowbally? It's because you have this perma slow, this perma CC, the ridiculous mobility of Warwick, Camille. If you get caught, you won't get away. Kha'Zix now has even more slower mode. His stupid ass, you're just gonna get movement speed stealth through every bush. That's why it feels snowbally. When you have an enemy getting ahead, you can't even fight them. When they have items like Phantom Dance or whatever, when they have runes like Resolve, you can't even fight them. And if you get caught or did a mistake trying to fight them, you can't even get away when it's too late. You can't say, hey, this team fight was a bad idea, let's retreat. No, you're gonna get caught, you're gonna get chased down, and there's no get away from that. The game has never felt this bad. Things like Jhin Ultimate, you know. It's like, oh, okay, so it's a high range. It's gonna deal a lot of damage. And it's gonna slow you. Like, okay, maybe a Jhin Ultimate is not as easy as I imagined it to be, to actually land the shots. But again, that's just overboard. So much is overboard. Assassins having too much CC is overboard. Tanks even having any kind of damage, being full tank, is bad enough, but one-shotting? Are you fucking out of your mind? That's beyond overboard. Supports dealing more damage than AD carries early game. Do I even have to say anything about that? Having more better scalings than assassins? I don't even need to argue about that, right?
The game has taken a really sharp turn into that, and I think that right now World of Warcraft kind of identifies that that's a problem as well. So what happened is they like stat squished a lot of items in the expansion so that like damage doesn't just go to you doing trillions of damage, you know, or billions of damage. You do much more DPS than before, but like at a kind of sharper decline. And I think that at the moment League of Legends hasn't done that. And the gameplay is very weird. It's so many times this season I've gotten hit with something and I'm just like, that killed me. Holy, like in a non-PewDiePie like meme kind of way. I can't believe that killed me because the damage is so high you can't tell. Like you get electrocute procced off somewhere and you just get spiked from 400 and you're just like, is that supposed to happen? So many times.
Like, yeah, the electrocute change is such a bullshit. Wait, was it whose video was that mentioned that? Hashinshin's video? Yeah, I guess that was it. That one is so true. You know, Sandalwood was a good rune, Keystone, and now it's kind of better but also worse, and that's basically based on the champion that you're playing. Is Zoe going Thunderlord? I can only imagine how annoying that must be, because she already has high damage, right? But just to make sure you actually die on it, let's get Thunderlord on her. Or like an Aerie, you know? That was probably a Shinshin video where he mentions a Pantheon. Or any long range harassing champion. Harassing you constantly with Aerie. You know, there's champions that already struggle against certain laners. But now these kind of keystones make them even worse to deal with. A Master Yi, a Yasuo going... Oh yeah, you also have true damage now on the new Infinity Edge, yeah, right? A Yasuo, Master Yi going Conquerors. They were already strong. Especially Master Yi, the hybrid DPS builds, where he would deal mixed magic physical damage, was really hard to itemize the game, right? And when he comes at you at full speed, it's really hard to get rid of him, right? But that's what he does. And you gotta at least build some MR armor. You gotta build both of those to deal with it. But not now. Your damage, now his damage is being turned into true damage. Like, this is funny, dude. I remember talking about League. You know, a game like League needs to have more damage, more mobility, and then right around that time brought in Conqueror. It's like, wait, is this my fault? Like, did they agree that they need more damage in the game, so they brought Conqueror? Because that's not what I wanted. That's not what I meant. There's no counterplay to true damage, if anything, dude. And you're gonna say build HP, but like, imagine. You know, I don't think anybody does that. I hope that doesn't become meta. But actually, I've seen it on Cho'Gath in the early days of Conqueror coming into the game. It's Cho'Gath, or like an Ornn dealing max HP damage, or maybe even a Vayne. Never mind, wait, Yasuo, Master Yi, any DPS character, they could build Blade of the Rune King, right? They're gonna deal damage based on your HP, and they get Conqueror. So you would say, hey, just get shield or build HP at least. Build HP, that's counterplay to true damage. But now they get something like Blade of the Rune King, or even an Ornn going Conqueror, dealing mixed HP damage. So you already give them more damage by building more HP. And now they deal true damage, so you can't even build MR or armor against it. Like, yeah, there is no counterplay to that, but that's the issue with League. The amount of counterplay has been getting less and less. The counterplay options, that's why the game feels more dumbed down. The meta is probably more narrow than ever. I feel like back then you had more meta picks. You had like very few champions being like the king of the meta in a time, you know, in a certain patch or whatever. Like a Kassan back then, very on the top. Like the villain, the nemesis. But then you had below a lot of other champions that were meta as well. And then you had below that maybe the underdogs, but they were still playable. You could still play unconventional things like AP Shake or whatever and make it work. DPS Teemo, and it would work if you were good enough with it. If that fit your playstyle. But now that shit is just beyond impossible. And now you have certain champions dominating League since forever. Warwick, Graves, they've been dominating leagues since forever, dude. Like, they're always strong. Even if they get nerfed, they're always strong because of the state of the game, because of the way League is built now, because of the way League has been changed now. It was never this bad, dude. And it's literally like you either pick this champion or you lose. It wasn't like that before, but now it is. So the game feels really, really dull.
Times I haven't used my stopwatch. I haven't used my gunblade. Sometimes yes, it's because I react really slow, right? But a lot of times it's because like the increased damage in the game just makes it so that like you have to do that. Like if you get CC'd at full health by Kindred, and one other person is there, throw out the ulti because you will die in the CC, in the 2-second CC. So that's kind of how I see the current League of Legends meta right now, and I don't like it. I think that I don't know what the solution is. My immediate solution would be to just nerf runes and keystones across the board, but it's a really inelegant solution. And I know they can't do anything until after Worlds.
Another thing, he probably has the impression that League has more damage in the game now. The way he talks about it being CC'd and then just one shot, and you don't even expect that damage output, to activate stopwatch or whatever. It's pretty sure most of the time that happens when he talks about that it's gonna be particularly physical damage that is gonna kill him, and that's because of the rune loss, the rune removal. So remove the runes. The basic runes that most people would use is yellow armor, blue MR, and they would both give you 9 flat. Very, level 1. And you don't have that anymore, so that is being deleted. But a lot of them got as a rune compensation armor, and some of them got HP. But the MR part wasn't compensated. So you not only have supports having already getting more damage, but also because of the MR loss, magical damage in general is gonna hurt so much more. And I've been realizing that over a while now. A fucking Rakan can just easily combo me, dude. It's so fucking sad. Like the MR loss on the rune removal is so painfully witnessable, like obvious. And that's probably why you gets that impression, most likely.
I guess right now I'm literally just playing.
Because he plays a lot of mid lane. He's a mid laner, right? So he's gonna face a lot of AP carries. And because of the MR loss, yeah, that's definitely why. I swear, Riot would be so fucking dumb if they don't revert the rune changes. Let alone everything else Riot has fucked over with League. And I've been mentioning that. I've been saying that. I told you. Is rune removal the most fundamental thing of League, more than the old items that have been removed, and that was bad enough. But the runes that made League, that was League. And the fact that they removed that, not only the freedom of options you had with it, like all the possible combinations, rune combinations you could do. People would add their little spice into it. Oh, let me take one armor rune out, let me put one attack speed in here just to be extra special with it. Maybe it does something, maybe it doesn't, maybe it's more of a placebo thing. But being able to have that extra individuality to it, or just go completely crazy, go full AP runes, full AD runes, full crit runes, full MR pen runes, whatever. You don't have that anymore, dude. You don't have that shit anymore. Runes made League. And I did tell you, Season 8 was gonna be the downfall, the death of League. And we can easily argue that so far, Season 8, probably most people have quit League. And I've been reading comments about that non-stop on my own videos. People saying, oh, I stopped playing League since the rune changes. I warned you guys, dude. I told you. Like I told you, this rune removal is gonna kill League forever. For good. And if Riot doesn't react to this and revert at least the rune changes, leave alone everything else, because that would be the easiest to do, you know. You can argue about when I say shit fucking Ornn is broken, this is broken. Sure, those are individual issues. And those might be harder to fix, because when a champion is flawed, you're gonna have to rework him. But since Riot is too busy reworking completely fine champions and fucking them over, I guess they won't be reworking their champions, those champions anytime soon, especially because they're rather new champions, and they take the excuse all champions are outdated, no counterplay, or not fun to play. Yeah, you tell me how much Old Shaker was not fun to play, you fucking cunts. But yeah, the rune removal, that would be the easiest on league changes to revert on, you know. It wouldn't take them much. But the question is, are they willing to do that? Are they too delusional to see the issue, to acknowledge the issue?
They're making the best version of the current meta. I just don't like the current meta. So what ends up happening is I am just kind of patiently waiting for next season, because I think this season is unfixable at the moment.
The runes need to be reverted.
I don't think that, like, this is the problem. The problem with having stuff like Airy and Scorch and Electrocute is on the reverse, and having stuff like Aftershock. Why can you play Fiddlestick support with Aftershock? Like, sure, it opens him up to the opportunity to be played in a specific role. I get it. But, like, should he really get 100 armor and MR at level 1, 80 armor and MR at level 1? Probably not. But he has to be able to, like, that defensive option has to be in the game because the offensive options are so strong. So I think the current meta is kind of bonkered, and I don't think there's anything that they can do to fix it until they're able to redo their inherent system behind the game. That's why I think the current state of the game is not very good.
Dude, like, Riot is fucking brain dead, okay? I just let that go through my mind today earlier. I get this. Oh god. Get this. So, champions have abilities. If you want to strengthen your abilities, if you want to empower your abilities, how do you do that? Oh, ability power. It's in the word, ability power. Empower your abilities, right? And Riot is like, hey, we're really creative, let's be really smart. Let's give supports that use shielding a shield increasing passive, while they still have their AP scaling on their shielding. And let's also give that shield increasing item AP, so that that shield gets increased even more. But that's not enough. Let's bring a fucking rune or mastery that will give you extra shielding, which also scales with AP, which also scales with the shield increasing item. League was so simple, but so good. But yeah, you're saying damage runes are too strong. Again, you can't have it both ways. But obviously, for League to function, the main focus of the game has to be damage. I was thinking as the AP carry player, he would, or as a mid laner, he would actually see it that way. I do agree that the new rune system is a fucking failure and they should just revert it. But saying like, oh, the offensive tree is too strong is, it's the opposite. It's the resolve tree being too strong, and it's always been like that with the old masteries and the current runes. Not only is it too strong, but it's just the unfun way of playing League. Having options to be extra tanky is understandable, but that's exactly what the runes did. All before this keystone stuff, we had keystones since the old masteries, right? Somewhere in season 5 or 6. Season 6 or season 7? Whatever, around that, right? Before that, before keystones, League was so good. Because you didn't have certain keystones dominating. Back then, what was the dominating keystone? Thunderlord. Why? Because people want more damage if they have that option. Because, hey, they got the necessary tankiness from their runes. They got some armor, they got some MR on the runes. And now, especially if they play an offensive character, they're gonna go full damage on that shit. Obviously. Because that's fun, because that's how the game functions. That's what wins games. So it was for most people granted, you know, hey, this gives some extra damage to me, why not? But like the way saying offensive trees are too strong, some idiot writer is gonna see this video and get the impression that resolve tree is not too strong enough, so they're gonna buff it, you know. But now he does mention this, that Aftershock 100 armor MR later that it's just broken. It is broken. Like, what do you mean 100 armor, dude? Oh god. Like, Riders needs to revert this completely. Back to season 5. Oh, I just...
On top of that, just on top of that, I think that there is so much negativity in the community right now. So much. When I say this situation, it's fairly negative, right? But like when I say it, it's negative because of these reasons. I don't think the game stays in a good spot. I don't like the current meta because of this. Maybe you like the current meta. You're not me, okay? However, I think that right now it's easy for Riot to be a punching bag. People are just like, you know, like every single day on the subreddit, it's like 50% negative, like 50% negative. It's disgusting, honestly. I hate talking to people.
I've talked about this as well, mostly while I was playing Fortnite, not sure why. I feel like I get extra, I don't know, talk active or whatever when playing Fortnite. But I talked about this several times. When the game is not as fun, the state of the community is just gonna fall with it. And it's been even affecting pro players, benching themselves, troll picking shit and just playing poorly. And it even got to the point where they won't even hold back anymore, you know? Back then, they were probably having this impression about League for a while, but they chose to not say anything for the sake of professionalism, you know. But now it's been getting so bad that at least some of them are starting to talk about it, like Double Lift, etc. Even Faker straight up saying, hey, season 5 League was the shit, and this is bad. It feels bad to play it, it's not fun, I want season 5 back. Like, even they are so tired of it. Not just tired of it, but so tired of it that they finally speak up to it. And if this doesn't change anything about the game anymore, if this doesn't fix Riot's mindset, then I don't know what will. Because previously you had only some idiots like myself talking about it, and people would come up with all the excuses to say why I might be suddenly acting that way. Before I was loving the game and oh my god, best game, season 5, season 6, best game, whatever. And now all the negativity about the game since season 7. Why would I be doing that? Oh, am I mad because my champion got changed? Oh, am I mad because I can't get challenger? Even so, I didn't get challenger season 7 after that shit. But just to prove my point, or people saying, oh, don't even, like, people wouldn't care about my opinion. It's basically this, basically this. Making this long as comment, but you have all these retards, probably not even reading, just mentioning how toxic I am. So a lot of these retards are not gonna give a fuck about what I have to say because I use bad words. I used to be really toxic in the game. I ran it down in League. I ran it down in my games. I'm a bad guy. So because of that image that I have in the community, whatever, right? These people are not gonna care about what I have to say. Also because I don't get the most people watching my rants or whatever about what I have to say about the game. So Riot probably even would saying, oh, who cares? It's just, not many people seem to care about it. Why would we care, right? But now it's like videos from the admin gaining 1.5 million views. And that's where Riot should be responding, if anything, right? Because now the whole community is aware of it.
About the game, because in even playing the game with people, it feels like when I'm playing the game with people, no one in the game is having fun. When you win, you're just okay. Like
from this part and I was watching this morning, I was like, oh man, like this is so true and so sad.
Satisfied. And if you're losing, you hate the game. And it's just been this like cesspool of negativity for months now. And it's actually like so irritating to play. Like incredibly annoying to play.
It's never been this bad playing League.
And to be honest, Riot's way to fix it was gonna be Clash. To create like a thing for people to like kind of, people are only pissed because of like the patch that happened and there's not something that Riot's responding with that's substantial. And to be honest, the substantial thing, their plan was Clash and it failed. And so we're getting more negativity and there's nothing there to stop it right now. And as a person who streams the game a lot and loves to play the game, it sucks. Because every single game I go into, pretty much every single game I play, I get flamed. Like, before it used to be like, hey, I got flamed like 10% of my games. Now it's over 50%. Every single one.
I mean, just getting flamed is still better than getting it into every game. But it's so relatable, dude.
That last game I was lucky because the person that would have flamed me was the one who fed. Or else I would have gotten flamed. Promise you. Like, I know, like, when the game lobby loads, I know, I'm just like, that guy flamed me like 3 days ago. That guy flamed me like 4 days ago. And it really does feel like, I don't mind getting flamed because I played bad. Don't get me wrong. People don't like playing with me. I get it. 100%. I'm a really terrible person to play with if you're looking to purely win the game. 100% agree. But I think that people are flaming because they just hate the game. And it shows. People like literally just hate the game. I don't know what to say to that. It's a bunch of reasons. I have no idea what to say.
This makes me so sad.
I agree, dude. It's been bugging me for a while. Yeah, boy, it's actually insane. And like, I think players like you and me will get flamed a lot more because we're just like, we just mess around, to be honest. And I understand why it's not like people don't want to play with players who like first time champions or first time builds in ranked. I get it, completely understand. I just think they flame me because they just actually hate the game. And it sucks as well because the overlying impact of this situation is that people are quitting League of Legends. Not just people that like I don't know, people that I do know. Literally like a lot of streamers that I looked up to, or a lot of streamers that like I helped out, a lot of streamers and content creators that like I've talked to just gave up on League, you know? People like Trin Immortal, people like Tobias, he played today, but for the most part, people like Dyrus, Antibot's just done streaming, right? I don't know why, but he's just done, you know? And so we're in situations where I'm essentially just like, and like, for instance, people like Wings are just like, I wish I could do that, but I can't financially. And I'm like, I get it, right? But every single day, every single week, I see stuff like this. There's like negativity happening on the subreddit, in the games that I play, and like that tangentially causing people to not just hate the game. Because in the end, like when I play a game, I want to play with people who want to play the game, you know, who want to just like, who are enjoying the game, to be honest. And I think
I might be deluding myself, but I really don't remember being this mad as I can be nowadays when I lose League, or mad, upset, whatever you call it. I don't remember it ever being this bad in the earlier seasons when I played League. Even if I went into a losing streak, I never really felt it impacting me that much. Because after all, it was just a game. After all, I still had fun playing it, even when I was losing it. But now it's like, it's so bad, dude. Even winning just isn't satisfying enough. Like, for the amount of stress you get from this game, not even winning is worth. I don't know, maybe I'm just deluding myself, but I really don't remember it being that bad back then, even when I lost a lot. I don't remember it, affecting me that much. You would have some trolls, etc. back then as well, but then again, it was never this bad, this frequent, etc. But this part that he was gonna, did he like about the earlier seasons?
When is the last time I was in a game and I joked around with someone in chat? Actually, like when has that ever happen? Before,
I don't remember that happening
either. It used to happen like multiple games. I would, on the people I know, I'd be like, haha, and we would just banter random shit. But when have you seen me do that? In fact, watch high-low streams. When does that happen? Period.
Dude, that is so true. This one made me really think. I don't remember the last time I had that kind of
Maybe I'm not watching enough high-low streams, to be honest. But
probably around season 6.
It feels bad.
But it was more common in season 5.
It happens when people are doing because they talk to each other. But I'm just saying, as a individual who is in this position, like, for the best thing I can say is I'm starting variety streaming not because of this. I'm doing it because I played League for 8 years and I feel like I missed experiences by not playing other games. Additionally, I think it would help me to experience other things and to see if I enjoy it as well. However, I can't deny that this is one of the first times that I felt that it might be more beneficial for me to stream not League. And you know what? As a person who's been literally making content and streaming League for 7 years, that's a shocking revelation. Not because I dislike the game. It's that I dislike what the game has like turned other people into, I dislike the situation that the game that's happened with the game. So it sucks, to be honest. Like I feel in such a bad situation, and I know this is something that happens happens to me, because it used to be As a player who was from the LCS, I would never stream during LCS ever. LCS for me was sacred. Because for me, it's my roots. It's where I came from. I want to support my scene. I want to support the professional players playing it. I want to support my favorite teams, my favorite players, and my favorite organization. And recently, I've been thinking a lot about streaming while LCS is going on. And to be honest, yes, it's been a long time since I've been a pro player. Yes, I'm not very attached to a lot of the professional players now. But the fact that that idea has gone through my mind is mind-blowing to me. I would never do that before. I think the point, like, I'm not saying that the point where I do stream Variety while, or like other games while LCS is going on is the death of League. I am, however, saying that like all these problems that I'm seeing right now are causing me and other people who play League of Legends and make content for League of Legends to have bad feelings about the game, to feel bad playing the game. And I don't want to say this is an outburst because of what happened today. Because honestly, I look at what happened today, and 3-7, shit. I played bad a lot of the games. You know, I've been kind of rusty because I haven't been able to play much League day by day. I get it. You know, today was just a day where I played poorly. I can objectively say that. But I want to say it's the overall feel of the games, overall feel of the mentality of the games I'm in, and the feel of the current meta that caused me to kind of reach this point where I think that the game is not in a great spot for a lot of reasons. And the thing is, I don't want this to be true, right? I love playing League. I actually do. When I go into games, I want to play like this champ. I want to play this champ, you know? It's super fun for me to play like XYZ champs. Sometimes I'm depressed because I'm playing bad or I lose a lot, but like I'm still excited to play the games. And so for me to be like my favorite game of all time, more than likely that I played for 7 years, is like not cutting the cake or like not working out right now. It does not feel good to say. And this isn't a thing where like I'm quitting League. When I come back from Singapore, I'm gonna be playing League, right? And maybe I play like World of Warcraft here and there, Monster Hunter World here and there. I'll be playing League mainly for the foreseeable future. But I do think that like we're at the point where Riot needs to start taking steps to address some of the issues, because I think that a lot of the people that, or at least from my perspective, a lot of the streamers who are playing the game are just like, it's stopped being enjoyable. But even for the hardcore players, it is not enjoyable anymore. And let's not give excuses for ping. Let's not give excuses for poor play in the game. Let's just say it's just overall not good.
I guess we meet again, my friend.
This makes me so sad, man. Makes me so sad. Like, I don't understand. He probably plays League way longer than me, you know? So especially him must be feeling really sad about how League became. He probably played more than me either. I mean, if he already plays longer. Oh man. Dude, as much as Riot is focusing on